Yeah, so the vibe is like, I just felt like talking. So here we go, popping up that live stream. Got a metal map going on here. These are goofy, but it's it's that good a night. Got a Cortex versus Armada. If you don't know, metal maps are sort of for people who don't like all the things that actually make the game difficult. And they're like, what if the game was easy? And so this is a map where you can literally just build anything anywhere. You can do as many mexes all over the dang place as you would like. Each one of them is going to give you, what is it? Plus, look how fast they're spinning. Did you know mexes spin faster for the more metal they're getting? And these ones are getting quite a bit, plus 30 a pop on these. So you can see these guys are like, not even needing to build that many, but you could just spam them down. And generally you end up with full bars, and you end up bottlenecked on your build power on a map like this. But early game scaling is a big deal, and it's something that does have a surprisingly high skill ceiling, despite also being a complete fucking joke. So I thought it would be fun to see two people that are totally evenly matched in terms of OS going up on this. And I like Doomsky's approach here. Scaling the build power, scaling the labs, clearly has a base layout planned. And these wins, they're not spaced, and this is actually the one map where I'm not going to criticize you for that, because this map doesn't make any damn sense. But also because space is at a premium here. There's a section in the middle of the map that you can push into. Practically speaking, you generally don't see this build up too much, because it's much easier to just scale your eco and then walk stuff straight through mid, spam T3, behemoths, what have you. It's generally, yeah, getting T2 up is a good idea. You do want to actually build it, and not just sort of gesture towards building it. You don't, yeah, this is an example of how to do things wrong, is the lack of build power here, right? You got a number of con bots out, and that's actually not bad. I kind of like spamming con bots here, because they don't have a footprint, unlike con turrets, and so you can walk them around and expand to large parts of the back of your base without, you know, having things that you're later going to have to reclaim, right? You can just spam out some wins and not think about it again. I, especially as Armada, would even more like to get that T2 lab up and have those, what is it, butlers? Spamming out the wins. Using your comm is also viable, though. Now, we are getting set up here for a wave of spam. Red had, I believe, an early eco lead and has now abandoned it in favor of, frankly, a very aggressive T1 play on a map that I'm not sure favors that. But if you overwhelm your opponent with a surprise wave of units, then they might not have the defenses necessary to handle that. And that can be very good. The further out that blue pushes, the worse that plan is going to look, because blue depends on seeing that wave coming in advance soon enough that they can get defenses up by the time the wave reaches their base. And getting those defenses up, of course, depends on having a lot of build power, and particularly build power in this area, which is another case where mobile build power in the form of these bots is a very good thing to have. T2 cons, getting T2 mexes, needless to say, also very powerful. But if your metal bar's full, then maybe you don't need that even. We see red taking, again, a 2-to-1 lead on metal now, surprisingly. How is that even possible, actually, off of this many mechs? That's... I guess you don't need that many. I don't know, man. Oh, hey, blue actually getting in here. This, surprisingly... wow. The Centurion spam not online in time. If you'd built any other unit, you could have handled this, and now all of this wind is going to go down. You know, I said I was okay with this, I'm gonna have to take it back. This is never a good idea to build your wins like this. It is simply just not ever okay. Absolutely ridiculous watching the build turrets, not building units, but rather repairing these things to keep them online. Now, red, after that, still has an eco lead on metal and on energy, although blue's now climbing back up. But with that fusion up, red is actually able to survive surprisingly well. I'm not sure where red's metal is coming from at the moment. Oh, never mind. Yes, I am. Right there. Anyway, blue getting the T2 mexes online, 122 metal per second off of one of these bad boys. That's just too much. Yeah, like I said, this is a mode for people who don't really want to play the game. They just want explosions. And that's valid, and they are valid, and that's okay. Getting these fusions up here, doing that scaling game. Now, normal fusions, I believe, are more efficient than advanced fusions in terms of their build power cost. And so if you're constrained on build power, and double check that, by the way, that's just something someone told me in lobby one time. And I'm like, sounds good to me. But that's what I've heard, and it makes sense. On a map like this, where you basically, build power is your scarce resource. Not metal, not energy, but build power. It does actually make sense to be spamming down these fusions. They also have a smaller footprint, although I believe that, like, their space occupied versus energy produced ratio is less favorable. But anyway, yeah, same thing going down over here. Fusions coming up. Not a lot of build power being put onto this. And you would really love to see build power scaling going on from both sides to a much greater degree than it currently is. The Fiends coming out, that T2, doing a good job. You got Twin Guards in here. But this very large wave... Oh, this guy gets in. We got one pawn going. Another one going in here. Wow, these things just in the last second getting caught by the Warden. I wonder if that's focus fire. In any case, blue does seem to be able to hold. And this is a lot of wasted resources, a lot of wasted build power. You can see red redirecting build power away from the labs and onto the fusion here. Probably a correct move. Even more correct would be to just get more... Yeah, and you're finally doing it now, right there. Getting more nanos, as they call them. More comm turrets. Now, yeah, I do like the Scorpions here. I think that those are a pretty strong counter. I like Twin Guards as well. I don't know about the units. I think that units are basically only good once you want to try to swim upstream. And it's not looking like blue is planning on doing that at the moment, so I have to say, like, why are you spending your resources on that, right? Red is, of course, handing a lot of reclaim here to blue, and on a real map that would matter. On this map, their metal bars are full, so who cares? A pulsar going up here, arguably premature, but, you know, whatever. Now, anti-nuke coming up here. This one actually, funnily enough, does not cover this corner of the base, so you could nuke there. Currently, nothing of value there. That might change. And we see the T3 gantry up here, and we see the first Juggernaut getting built. A little self-destruct there, it looks like. Something of that nature. A little strange. Bulwark coming up, quite good against T1, obviously. And we're massing up here for a big old push with T1 and T2. But I have to tell you, a Juggernaut is going to absolutely shred that. So, let's see how this goes. Now, there's a few common ways for these games to end. Bombing runs are a good one. LRPC is not the worst, although, let's check the ranges here. Your normal plasma cannon does that, and your rapid fire needs to be built in mid to reach the base. So if you can hold down mid and get like a matrix of con turrets up in mid, then you can throw up that LRPC here and start putting a lot of damage on whatever energy shields your opponent might have in place. Now, this big push here coming through is actually interesting to see. You would love for it to keep going, right? Like, don't stand in turret range. Why would you get in and then not keep going? That is baffling to me. You could have gotten a lot of damage on these wins, taken out some cons, forced some APM out of your opponent, which on a map like this is sort of... you have to wonder if the people who are playing these maps are capable of handling that. Pulsar will finish one of these days. 40 seconds left on that. We got these labs still producing spam. I really, at this point, I'm not convinced that Red's aggression is going anywhere. And we do see Blue, again, pulling an eco lead, mostly by virtue of just, like, trying even a tiny bit. Like, you just get it for free on these maps. Now, let's see. Running the gauntlet here, a surprising number of pawns do get through. These ones have learned the lesson. They're going to split up. First Aphis, not quite done yet, but it is building. This guy's going to possibly die to that splash damage. Not quite. Good job. Good job not dying. Now, I do love this, but I do wonder if this is a phase in the game where win still matters, right? Like, maybe Blue just says, thank you for clearing up that space. I was going to use that for Aphis anyway. Meanwhile, over here, First Aphis under construction for red as well. And yeah, once again, if your bars are full, build more build palette. I mean, this is 101 level stuff. These guys are 25 OS, and they're opting into playing a metal map. You'd assume they'd know this. What else we got here in the lobby list? Can we sort the list? Okay, there's a 1v1 open. APM clan in there. 2v2 noob, max rating 400. We can set the 1v1. I'm gonna stick with this for now. Now, I really just want to see someone finish this, because it's not that hard, frankly. You know, if they did finish it, then I'd consider hopping in, unless they both want to go again. But yeah, this spam, I don't hate this pattern, actually, for the labs. Like, watch how the ticks path out from there. It's kind of fun. It feels very space efficient to me, right? Like, you don't need more lead space than that, so that's a very good use for that little region of the map. The question is whether it's useful to have tick spam. The other thing to bring up is that if the tick spam started mattering, one Juno shot kills everything. And then you have to switch to pawns, of course. Now, the Juggernaut is out. Juggernaut versus ticks, bit of a goofy matchup. Overkill would be an understatement. But this dude, with its 150,000 health, compared to the 20 to 40 DPS of these ticks. Now, bear in mind, 40 at min-range, and they do get a flanking damage buff. But it's still not going to really matter here. Not going to make a substantial difference. Now, if it were me, I would have the Fiends in a line, and I would have the Thugs in a second line behind them. That way you don't get splash damage from the Fiends onto anything, and you have a more even firing pattern for them. Now, this is quite a bit of tick spam. The Welders, I'm sorry, but you're outclassed. They're not getting one shot, at least. So that's something. You know, they're getting two shot, which is arguably better. Kind of funny that you don't. It would be funny if they could, like, Mario stomp on top of these guys with the Juggernaut. Just have it walk on top of the Welder's head and it just dies. But that is not how the game works, unfortunately. Yeah, these scatter guns, underrated for clearing chaff. And, yeah, you can see that laser direct hit. Is that a heat ray? I think so. That was quite a bit. Doomsky does have one pulsar up. I'm not sure if one is enough, but we will find out as this Juggernaut walks across the map. Now, the funny thing, of course, is that if this does die, then you can pop out some res spots and suddenly you've got a Juggernaut. Perhaps needless to say, it's not actually that important to do, because this is a map where you get infinite resources for free. Interesting thing here, both of them now have empty metal bars. They're actually spending their resources at the 15-minute mark, or actually 14:20. But, okay, let's see how well the Pulsar does here. Now, this is going to be the second time that blue has gotten into... Okay, yeah, there it is. And the D-gun does take it out, takes out a third of that commander's HP pool. Remember, if this guy dies, it's all over. So you can afford two more of those. And then you gotta heal up, or it's GG. So you do want a more sustainable solution to this problem. And to me, that would look like more Pulsars if I'm playing Armada here. It's funny to be rebuilding the spam. You're like, how much does it really do it for you, buddy? I don't know. I feel like both of these people have some strange... I don't understand getting bottlenecked on metal on a map where it's literally nothing stopping you from just scaling it forever. You know what I mean? Like, on most maps you have to fight to claim the metal spots, and on here just there's nowhere that isn't one. So it's like, how do you run out of metal? How do you do it? I don't think I could if I tried. Second Juggernaut walking through here. My man is ready with the D-gun once again. And third Juggernaut coming through. Now, of course... A little bit of good sportsmanship coming through here. Advising on how to resolve this incoming problem. Now, let's see. Let's see what happens here. Okay. You are down to half health, my friend. You cannot keep doing this forever. However, it is fun to watch. You gotta admit, it is fun to watch. And I mean, like, listen, maybe this is me showing my age, but to me, this is peak. This is peak game art. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is so sick. I just love it to death. I really... This speaks to me on a level that I can't fully put into words. I think it's beautiful in its own fucked up little way. Now, the comm is pulling back here, recognizing this is not a sustainable solution. It's unclear whether he's going to be going back to the front once he's healed up, but I would guess the answer is yes. And honestly, that's funny as hell. I love the dedication to finding the absolute worst solution to this problem. And I love the counterplay from Blue of like, you want to do that? Fucking, here's 38 fiends to follow it up. Let's see how you deal with those, right? If your commander is front, you know, what's the move speed on this? 38? Fiends, 83. It's a palindrome. They're going to outpace your comm before it can get back to safety, and the game's going to end. And I think we're about to see that here. And honestly, fuck yeah. It's really going to be fun to watch. Oh, yep, there it is. And this is going to be game.
Commander has died.
Good try, but honestly not that good. Maybe I shouldn't have had my commander as the frontline unit on the map where a random push can come in any time.
Battle ended.
And yeah, look at that scaling here. Actually, a pleasant curve from Blue on the scaling there. Slightly super linear. Now I am enjoying Q here. Let's see if either of them wants to dip out. I'd be happy to join if so, but I don't want to pressure them. It does feel a bit silly to play ranked metal map.
You are now playing.
But hey. Guy says, I'd like to taste defeat. I'd love to give you what you'd like. I'll just say that and leave it there. Let's see, Doomsky. You wanna ready up? Show me what you're made of. Or maybe not. I wouldn't blame you. And also, there's nothing wrong with taking a beat between games. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Let's see. Legion Rotato over here. That's a good map. Ah, quit in the lobby. Okay, whatever. Yeah, what else we got? Whitefire. It's a tough map, but it's a good one. Now, Doomsky, are we going to ready up? Are we doing this? Small smolders. That's not small at all. It's normal sized. Oh, okay. Lobby die, and I'll give it a minute, see if anyone wants to hop in. Defeat me. If not, we're going to have to hop over to something else. We're not doing Isthmus. I will not sink that low. You know what? What am I doing? Waiting to get a metal map going? Fuck that. I mean, I would join it if it was going, but like, I'm not gonna invest time into that. Life's too short. Legion Rotato, what we got going on here? You can spec this for sure. This will be a fun one actually to spec. This is a good map. Oh man, I wonder what I missed in chat here. We got people saying some spicy things. There's someone being overtly American. I bet they're talking about communism. About in-game communism, by which of course we mean pooling resources to build a lab faster. Which is actually a very strong strat. You can do incredibly powerful rushes. It's got pros and cons. It's not just objectively categorically better. It's very heavily front-loaded on the early game. And if you don't win in the early game, then you actually end up in a position where you're not as evenly distributed on the map and you have a harder time scaling. So it's not as overpowered as people think it is, but a lot of people get salty about it because they lose to a rush. And then they're like, well, obviously the game's broken. It can't be my fault. So you do get a lot of interesting perspectives, to put it politely. Now let's see. Bullets and bears. What a strange gamer tag there. You a hunter? What's going on? I don't know. Anyway, DeBoss over here. The blue team leader, Buck, is going to be their neighbor in all likelihood. We're going to... strange, I can't actually erase that as a spectator, but I can't erase the whole map. On the other side, we got 3 uwu. What's that supposed to be? I feel like it's some kind of ASCII art. Is it like... I don't know, I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to figure that one out. Hug Seal, asking for a con from Mumers. I'm not sure why you'd need a con. Yeah, Mumers has the same question. Does this guy think this is the air spot? It does say front on it, so that's not really... Oh, excuse me, yawning a little bit here. Yellow here is in the air spot, if that's unclear. Yellow 32 OS, the co-chair of the red team, co-pilot, second in command. Over here we got Bojangles, we got Barks, we got Seek, we got Eternal One, we got Left to Wither 1000, we got Scarjack, Borgany, Tankor, Fatal Ways, Tangington, I don't know. This is the fucking confusing team's name over here, the red team. I really like Mr. Mumers. That's a good name. You have to assume that's the name of a cat that has been imported into bar. And as someone who is a fish, I appreciate other animals in my video games. Now, Bark's here doing the same thing as Hug Seal. So I'm not actually familiar with this this play, but like looking at it, I don't hate it. And clearly, like these guys,
Battle started.
If your 21 OS 3 chef knows about it, there must be something to it, right? And yeah, this is Legion on, and both of these guys are playing Legion in those spots. Now, Buck is on Armada, and so is the boss. Uwu is on Legion. Tangington, did I get that right? Is on Legion as well. Mumers, repping Cortex here. And yeah, we got a good spread. Scarjack over here, also Legion. Being a little bit slow with the build queue, but it's okay. Left to Wither 1000, also repping Arm. Is this a wind map? I didn't think of it as one. Yeah, wind speed 10.5, not so much. This is, excuse me. This is a bit of a strange one, I think, to be playing Arm on, but we see a lot of Arm, so there must be something to it. Now, Seek, I don't like this. I don't think this is good. I'll just say that and leave it there. Too much walking with the comm in the opening, and a very, very early anti-air tower. I mean, before the lab even. Like, why, dude? It's weird. It's weird to me. I don't know, I think... So, if I was going to try to get into the head of the noob, which is always a dangerous thing to do, because they can truly be more perverse than you could ever imagine. But if I was going to try to, I would guess that there's an anxiety here about getting your first con killed by fighters. And you're like, okay, I need anti-air in base to kill the fighter. But the thing is, the fighter's not going to die before it kills you, right? Like, it's... I mean, yeah, you're getting your defenses too early, my friend. And you're missing out on getting the things you actually need to play your role. So you're truly, like, Tangington is going to be ahead simply from doing nothing special, but just not doing anything dumb.
Battle paused.
And that's one strange thing, is that, like, lower level players are very often like, well, look, I just got fucking rocked by this guy who knows what he's doing. I need more defenses in order to survive versus a stronger level player. And it's like, no, they're beating you because you're putting all of your metal, and especially all of your energy in this case, into these defenses, instead of into your fighters and your con aircraft. Realistically, you should be asking for a con for Bojangles, who has Armada, who has the good cons. A little discussion here, a little negotiation. Started. Never a bad idea to give more metal to a stronger player, especially if they're your neighbor. If they're not your neighbor, it can be dicey because you can end up actually sandbagging your side of the map and playing even below your level, which, assuming that you're not one of the better players on your team, it's extremely risky to sandbag yourself even further. What are we writing over here? I can't... This says Sting, I think? What the fuck, man? That's terrible handwriting. Pug seal, clearly bar is your main talent because clearly it's not calligraphy, I'll say that much for sure. Interesting little bit of annotation there, not very helpful. Over here, lab on the high ground. Bizarre to start here and then build a high ground lab, like why?
You are now playing.
I should not be now playing. Who quit? That's wrong. I mean, everyone's still in here, so I'm a little confused why someone would be gone from lobby. Let's see what the Martyrs are doing. They are taking out a Mechs and 2 Solars. Not bad, actually, considering those belong to Blue. Not bad at all. That's good early damage. Now, we have that fighter from Seek scouting things out here. It doesn't get very far, but does get a view on where the winds are, at least. Better than nothing, I guess. Yeah, DeBoss not happy about getting bombed in that manner. Understandably so. Currently with some idle cons here. Not what you want to see. But, yeah, I mean, trying to decide what to do with them, I guess. A little run by here doesn't get much done. Over here, similarly, I think they'll be able to stop this, especially with Bojangles in position. Meanwhile, Buck has secured the middle pretty well. We've got another Martyr coming in here. Doing a good amount of damage on those. And we're really seeing, I mean, no anti-air coverage here. And this comes down, again, to Seek playing the game very poorly. Not using the commander, that's your biggest source of build power, and also the only one that cannot be sniped by, the only one available to you from your own lab that cannot be sniped by fighters. So baffling to not have that on your lab, or have it scaling energy. Baffling also to have your only con aircraft building a turret that'll be done in a minute 10. Meanwhile, your entire team is taking heavy eco damage to air while you're just goofing around here. These Thessurians, which do seem like the weapon of choice. Oh wow, near miss on that. Now these things outrange the D-gun pretty significantly, but you gotta be so careful. Oh man,
Commander
okay.
has died.
Ooh. And we do see the comm trade coming through. Red, I think, maybe was hoping to survive that. No such luck. It was a case, I think, where Red was going to survive, but then a rocket or something came through. Because there was a staggered thing there, and I had that happen to me the other day, and it's definitely a hard one to read. Because with all the explosions, you can't even see, you know, projectiles in flight, so it's hard to dodge them. But yeah, if we see an eat come through here, which I think we will from Blue, because Blue is, of course, the bot player versus vehicles, and getting covered here by Manamops quite effectively. If this eat is successful, then Blue will be in great shape, and this will more than make up for that damage that was taken from those early Martyrs. And it does seem like Yellow has moved away from the Martyr play, although I don't know why, because it was working. And it's not like Seek is mounting any kind of meaningful resistance. Blue making a good move to feed energy to Green in order to get T2 built in the middle of the field. The idea basically being, I assume, that Green is going to be able to give out T2 to the team more effectively than if Blue in the corner went T2. So that's a nice play to see. Now, this is interesting here with the Lances along with the Thessurians. And this is, I mean, maybe meta, I don't know. But for me, as someone who doesn't play Legion, wow, why is... This is clearly a misclick. And that's painful. Actually, keeping it alive, not so painful. Very nearly dies to that rocket there at the end. Scary push coming through. Oh, and the comm drop. Yeah, oh wow. Blue having a bad, no good day. The Martyr lands, and actually, yeah, fucking air is completely checked out from the game. Somehow misses all of those pings, and Blue's entire base is going to get degunned. Simply a brutal play. You hate to see it. Not the way you want to go. And this is something where if Blue had held on to that reclaim bank, and if Blue had invested that here into local buildings, you know, if there was, for example, a T2 lab going up right here, then this would be a 5,000 IQ play to deal with that. The fighters finally show up. My man, stop trying to close the stable door. It's too late. The horses are gone. Yeah, blue getting completely wiped, and that's no good for this team. But at least green has that T2 up. Do we have T2 over here? No one seems to feel comfortable going for it, which is actually the correct call. They don't have the metal for it. Although red might actually be close to getting that. I do wonder, in a play like this, it's understandable to degut everything, and it's very dramatic. I think capturing or reclaiming can sometimes be better moves. Yeah, calling for air to go T2. That's an interesting call, actually. I think if you're not contested on air, then air cons are more viable for the team, right? Don't have to worry about them getting sniped as much. So that's not such a bad play. That's kind of a heads-up play. The Surians, of course, have some anti-air capabilities, so they're capable of making this work. The laser turrets will try. They will not succeed. In mid, we have Hug Seal with a large number of rocket bots. And this, I think, for me when I'm playing Legion, this is where I feel most comfortable, is when I have that T1 power spike from getting a large ball of rocket bots. Because these are kind of a heavy T1 bot out of Legion, right? And they're good. You know, rocket bots are good for all three factions, but the Legions are even crunchier, even stronger. Mumer's moving in here behind red, trying to sort of cover the flank, right? Because if red's up here, then who's over here? You know, red is using that as a reinforcement path, although not even that much right now. I think red is trying to scale or something, but like, are these not even overcharged mexes? I think this might be the point where you start running around doing that kind of a thing, right? Trying to get those overcharged mexes up. Manamops actually stands a chance to make a good play on Mumer's here. This could be... Oh.
Commander destroyed.
That's going to be some money in the bank for Metamops, I think. Yeah, this is... this is rough. This is rough to watch. I do think Metamops is playing well here. I think red is overextended at this point, and is sort of going right behind enemy lines here, but if you look at the player view, listen, you know what that is. You know what that is. There's simply no one who's going to be confused about what's going on here, and especially as red runs out of energy and cannot continue to cloak, or perhaps realizes there's no point in it.
Destroyed.
There we go, yeah, so that's a metal donation on top of this metal donation. So that kind of balances out. Or no, it doesn't balance out, because this is the same team that got the previous donation. So now that's 4 commanders fed into the unit mill. And pretty much the only thing going well for the red team right now is this big push out of orange, which is actually looking quite good. I'm not sure that Buck is going to be able to stop this in time. Buck would feel, perhaps, dare I say, a little chicken. Would be correct to feel so. Would be correct to feel afraid here. Because this is a brutal push, and this is going to, for sure, target down that lab. I mean, I think that's the correct move. And, you know, let's watch the command that gets issued to these guys. Because we see currently they're looking at the Jaguar, but I think the static target here, just get that burst damage, dude. Literally just kill this thing ASAP, because you're on a timer here. Make a circle and target fire. And yeah, there we go. Hug Seal is now figuring that out and does take out the lab. Now this can in principle be rezzed, so it's not the end of the world, but you need someone to give those res bots, and you know, you need it to actually happen.
Commander destroyed.
Ooh, push over here going quite well as well. This is a difficult spot to hold, because you got to come in from this side or from this side, and it's a long travel distance either way, and if you come in from one side, they're just going to push the other. So it requires large unit investments, large travel times, and it's something where the positioning can get kind of thorny. Requires cooperation from multiple players who usually believe themselves to have different jobs than the one that they need to do. So artillery on the high ground can be a strong move. You will stand some risk of D-guns depending on how you build it, but it's not the worst. Yeah, needing to res this 100%. Yeah, putting the very considerate to put the metal back. Yeah, you gotta res that. You simply gotta res that. Now, if this one... Okay. That would be funny if the second one came in to eat. You should share these two green, by the way, is what you should be doing here. For resing that lab faster, and you should put all of them on res. Fuck the reclaim. This is the priority, is to get that T2 lab back up so you can hold mid. Now, this is a funny thing, actually, because the blue team has been donated a tremendous amount of metal, but is actually, you know, seemingly down on eco and down on positioning. And I think that probably comes down to the fact that on this side, all of the mexes in mid are held by the red team. And so that's, you know, that's plus 30 metal, non-negligible. And if they get reclaimed, they get a whole lot more. Yeah, and this is the other thing, is that you want that lab to be owned by the person whose base it's in. And if your res bots are building their lab, or are resing their lab, then you might end up with ownership of it. Whereas if you share the res bots, then of course that won't happen. So that's something that you can, like, front load that APM rather than having to pay attention. Maybe you've got a guy yelling at you to share a lab while you're trying to micro, and it's like, well, actually it is kind of on you for not taking care of that situation earlier. The only case where you wouldn't want to do that is if green is low on energy income, but that's obviously not the case here. And yeah, this is frankly horrible for this to be belonging to Bojangles this whole time, and building nothing, sitting idle. A little bit of a selfish behavior, or I'm not sure if it's there's a good chance that it's accidental. You never know. Kind of funny here. It's sort of an accidental wall being built out of these wrecks. One fun thing about this game is that that can happen because of the physics engine. And that's something in vehicles versus vehicles you can often see accidental trench warfare as trenches are dug out of the corpses, out of the wrecks of these vehicles. Now up here, Scarjack, 12 OS, hitting above their weight, playing against, you know, like multiple players over here and doing a very good job. Of course, Borgity also helping with that. But the two of them have this 4K metal reclaim field that they are now reclaiming. They're getting these drone hives up, which are quite good as well. And yeah, you gotta wonder what's gonna be in place to stop this. Can a gunslinger do it? I mean, it's a good unit. It's oh wow, wait, how did the lab die? And why is it getting reclaimed? Hello, reclaiming T2. Yeah, I really don't know who's going to show up. Maybe Left to Wither. If this comm pops, then, like, good fucking luck. Interesting to be focusing down the energy storage, not getting it. Yellow moving in here with the T2 fighters. Now, of course, this is the funny thing about Legion Air, is that the sheer number of fighters actually does allow them to do quite well. Oh, but this is a Legion on both sides, so actually these do burst damage. They have like a burst fire on the T2 fighters that actually handle swarms quite well. If these were Cortex fighters or something, then you would see a lot of overkill coming in on these very small fighters, and they would actually be less efficient than... Man, oh man, look at this. Less efficient than I would expect them to be. But this run by here, 4 hoplites. These guys doing incredible work. Very low health, but they don't need a lot of health to do this, let me tell you that. Nothing's killing them, then yeah. And honestly, like, I mean, all the drama was down here, but the game was decided up here. With mid just getting locked down, going uncontested, and that allowing the push into here, the huge reclaim field, and just the lack of resistance. That's going to settle the game.
Commander,
really good game.
Self-destructed.
Really interesting game.
Commander, self-destructed.
Sort of a failure in a lot of ways, I think, from the red team to capitalize on the advantages that they had.
Battle ended.
And let's look at some team stats here. It's funny that they say team stats and then they give you 16 lines. It's like, can I get lines for the teams, actually? Just one of the many ways that you get lied to by this game. But yeah, funny to see red and blue both at the very bottom on the eco lines, and then green greeting insanely hard, which of course directly led to green getting fucking murdered by that push through mid with all those rockets that I was talking about from orange, who starts in the middle of the pack and then really spikes up here as soon as it's clear that they have an advantage and they don't have to invest into units much more. So, really good work there all around. I don't necessarily want to play in this lobby because I saw some smart people doing dumb things. So I'm not super into gambling my OS on that. So I might call it here. That'll be a short stream. That's 40 minutes. That's not so bad. Yeah, we're gonna call it a day there. Take it easy. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.